Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so I'm guessing you probably clicked on this video because you've been wanting to start a garden, whether it be a flower garden, veggie garden, whatever kind of garden, but you're not really sure where to start. So hopefully today I can give you some good pointers and tips on how to start your first garden. Like anything, it can be really hard to just start something that you've been wanting to do for a while, especially when you're not really sure where to start. And garden especially can be a challenge to try to research everything, and you're not going to get it perfect the first try. Like, you'll have some trial and error, but that's just part of learning and growing and doing better next year. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to get into was really just the benefits of gardening, and there's so many, but the few that I could come up with is you reap the benefits of what you're growing. So if you're growing a veggie garden, you get to eat organic, fresh produce, so that is definitely 100% awesome. And then the other thing is it's really relaxing, and just being outside in nature is really nice. It's a really great hobby, just so you're not like stuck inside doing something. So also something for me is like I have my own garden, so it's nice because it's just like my little space that I get to design and be creative with, so that is another perk. Okay, so now I wanted to get into kind of like, not the hardest part, but this part I feel like requires the most work, which is planning. So yeah, the first step is just figuring out what you want to grow, and that can be a challenge because maybe you want to grow like a ton of stuff, but you don't have enough space. So just kind of narrowing down your options. So some things that you can grow is like an herb garden, a flower garden, and like a fruit and veggie garden. So for me personally, just a couple things that I'm gonna grow this year is parsley, beets, and I got some sunflower seeds, so I'm really excited to try that out. Now, after you figured out what you want to grow, this is like the step that is most crucial, I think, is researching everything about that plant. So for example, like let's say parsley, do you want moss curled parsley or Italian parsley, and then what kind of pests usually go to that plant, and what kind of soil is the best for parsley, and how much sun does it need, how often should you water it. Those are kind of the things that you would research for the plants that you're going to grow. So those were just a couple ideas of some things that you can research. Right, so after you get everything organized, you know what you're going to grow, you know on a level like how to grow it, then you're going to want to analyze your space and see, okay, how much of this can I actually like realistically grow? So if you're in an apartment and you only have your balcony, you can't grow a bunch of things, but maybe you can grow some herbs or some flowers or a couple of veggies. So that would be realistic for your space. So just analyze the space that you have, and then try to see what would work, and if you need to maybe hold off next year to try some different vegetables. So for me personally, we have a pretty big backyard, so last year I was able to build a pretty big raised garden bed, and then this year I'm gonna build 2 more, or actually just 1 more, so I'm really excited. Okay, so the other thing that I did want to talk about space is when you're looking for your space, you want to see, okay, how much sunlight does that does that space usually get? Are there any trees that would, or the house that would kind of like shade out the plants, or is your space kind of on a hill that you would need to level it out, or like how much water collects in that space. So if the space is kind of like in a little ditch, you'll want to keep that in mind. Okay, so now I wanted to talk about soil, which is the most crucial and important thing for your plants because that is their source of food, and if they're not getting a good proper source of food, they're probably not going to perform as well. So you really want to make sure that you get the right kind of mix for your garden. Now I wanted to mention what type of garden you're thinking of having, which is pretty important because for me, I didn't really want to dig into the ground and make it like a garden in the ground. I really wanted raised beds. So yeah, so that's something to keep in mind. Do you want a garden in the ground? Do you want raised beds? Do you only have enough space for just pots? So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind, is what type of garden you want. Okay, so yeah, the soil is super important. So I'm not particularly familiar with what kind of soil, like how you should go about the soil for in-ground gardens. So that's something to research, sorry. But I know that for raised beds, usually having a good mix of topsoil, compost, and an other natural ingredient is really good. So this year, well, actually last year, we did buy some bags of raised bed soil, but it was really expensive, and yeah, I don't know if I would recommend that unless you have like a small raised bed. That might be easier for you. But this year we're going to get topsoil, compost, and we also got some worm castings. So we're just gonna mix all of that into the garden bed. I'm going to be doing a what was it? 50% topsoil, 30% compost, and then 20% of other natural ingredients. So you can use this as well. Just make sure that you get a really good topsoil and it's not, it doesn't have anything bad in it. Just some things to keep in mind with your soil. You want to make sure that it has enough nutrients and that it's well drained, and also keeping in mind that you can add things into your soil that will definitely help the plants. There's this type of fungus, I'm not quite sure how to say it, so I'll pop up what it is on the screen. It starts with an M or something, but anyway, yeah, so that, and then also adding worms to your soil is super great if you're growing in a raised garden bed or in containers. Okay, so now that you finally planned everything out, I wanted to get into actually making your garden and committing to it. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about was actually preparing your area and your soil and everything. So if you're gonna do a raised garden bed like I am, then you'll want to get your wood, or if you want to do a metal garden bed, you can order some online off of Amazon. They have some pretty good options, and I know metal does last longer. For me personally, I really like wooden garden beds. The garden bed that I'm making this year, it's going to be 6 feet by 4 feet and be 10 inches deep, and the wood itself costs only $34, and that's about as much as a metal garden bed would cost. But yeah, just weigh your options and do something that is going to be good for you. So if you're only able to grow your garden on like a balcony or something, make sure that you get some nice big pots that you can fit and that will have well drainage. Okay, so now probably the most fun part is actually planting your seeds and watching them grow. So that is so much fun, and it can take some patience, but it's definitely worth it. This year I'm starting some plants inside, like my parsley and cilantro. Then other plants require to be direct sown, which means that wherever you're gonna grow them, for me, I'm growing them in a garden bed, so I'm gonna direct sow them into the garden bed so their roots won't be disturbed when I transplant them. So like for example, I'm growing beets and carrots this year, so I'm gonna have to direct sow them because I don't want their roots to get messed up and stuff because they do not like to be transplanted. Okay, just some things about starting your seeds indoors. You want to make sure that you don't need, like, I know some people have like artificial lights and heating mats and all that stuff. You don't really need that. You just need a nice window that gets a lot of sun, and make sure your house isn't super hot or super cold. It's like at a nice temperature. And then you can really use any type of containers to start your seeds in. I don't recommend using egg cartons. I know that's kind of popular, but it actually dries the soil out and it can make the roots or the seed rot. So I definitely recommend getting like a glass container, like if you have like glass, plastic, you know, but like if you have like containers that are empty, like an empty pickle jar or something, you can totally use that. So now making sure that your seeds get the right soil when they're planted is super crucial, and I know it can be hard to find the right mixture, but usually when you go to your local nursery, they'll have little bags of seed starting mix. So I think last year I got, I forgot which one, I got a seed starting mix from Home Depot, and it was super bad. Whenever I would try to water it, it wouldn't absorb it like very good, and so I don't really think that my plants did as well. So this year I got the brand Back to the Roots, and it has coconut something in it. I don't know what it's called, coconut something, and it just helps the soil retain moisture, and I absolutely love the seed starting mix. So if you have it at your local nursery, I definitely recommend getting that one. Okay, so now that you've had your garden bed made, or you've made it in the ground or whatever, now you're gonna want to add your soil. And just a tip, I would not recommend planting your seeds or transplanting your little seedlings into the soil right away, as soon as you mix all of the soil together, because the soil needs to settle a little bit and just be there for a little bit before you transplant your seeds or you sow seeds into your garden bed. Okay, so I did want to talk a little bit about compost, and I think composting is super great. I haven't had a chance to do it yet because I've just been kind of putting it off, but it's super great. I'm not gonna get into like the details of like how to make a compost or anything, but I did want to say there's different ways of doing it, and there's different videos explaining how to do it, and it's super simple. You just need dry like sticks and green like veggie scraps, and that essentially decomposes and makes a wonderful nutritional soil for your garden, and your veggies and your plants will love the compost, trust me. So yeah, so compost is essential in any garden, and whether you buy it or you make it yourself, you definitely need it. But I would recommend making it yourself because it's way less expensive, and I personally just think it's just better. It hasn't been sitting in a plastic bag for a long time, and you know exactly what is in your homemade compost. Just some things that I wanted to mention before I end this video is a couple things that I personally really struggled with was pests, and yeah, mostly pests. And yeah, it was really hard. So a couple of pests that I encountered was like the cucumber beetle, the flea beetle, aphids, which, oh my gosh, they were terrible. And then, oh, slugs. I found a couple slugs, and then ants. And I know ants can be beneficial, but they can also attract aphids and kind of protect them, and also they can disturb the roots in your garden. So having ants is not that good. It is not good to have. So I wanted to talk about three things that can kind of prevent these pests, but you'll definitely have to look into more preventatives because there's a ton out there, but these are more on the natural side. So number one is diatomaceous earth, and it's a powder from like crushed shells, and it definitely deters all of the aphids and just any type of other bug that is destroying your plants. So I definitely recommend getting diatomaceous earth. Okay, the next thing that I wanted to talk about was number 2, was companion planting. And this is really great because depending on what your specific plant has a problem with, like, so cucumbers, for example, they have the cucumber beetle. That's kind of their main problem in terms of pests. And I know that marigolds are really good to plant with anything because they kind of deter those pests. So companion planting is really good. You'll want to see what kind of plants grow well together, and then also keep in mind that some plants, especially of the same family, don't grow too well together. So you want to make sure that you don't plant those in the same garden. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to say, number 3, was a neem oil spray, and it's really great to deter pests. I'm not quite sure where to get neem oil, but yeah, it's really great. Just make sure with any sprays that you get, don't do it right before the afternoon heat, because that can ruin your plants, and also don't spray the entire plant because it might not be good for that specific plant. So just test a little area to see if it works well, and if it does, then you can spray the whole plant. And then the last thing I did want to talk about for the ants, to deter them, there's this little recipe that we got, and I'll pop it up on the screen. But if you just mix these ingredients together and you put it like near the ant bed, essentially this sounds kind of sad and I feel bad a little bit, but like essentially they'll take the sugar, baking soda, and they'll eat it, and it like makes them blow up. So sorry. And also I wanted to mention, if you guys liked this video about gardening, I can show you more videos about my garden progressing over this summer, and some things that I've grown, that I'm growing, and maybe some healthy, delicious recipes that come from my garden. Oh my gosh, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it helped you and inspired you, and gave you some tips to start your first garden. Trust me, you will not be sorry that you start a garden. It is so fun, and it's just a great hobby, especially because it's outside and in nature. So if you liked this video, please subscribe, leave a like, and also comment for some things that you guys are excited to grow or thinking about growing, and maybe any questions that you have. I might not be able to answer all of them, but I'll try to answer as many as I can. So I'll see you next time.